Ferrari with only non-Red Bull race win? Aston Martin and Fernando's mid-season downfall? With Verstappen and RB19 combo, is it just a car or much more? There are so many questions to be answered from this season. Welcome back F1 fans as we discuss the best and worst moments in the 2023 season. Get ready for a whole lot of best and worst all around the 2023 F1 season. Just before we get started, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. As we are already 20 days into the winter break and teams are fully focused on the 2024 F1 season, we dive back into the recent season that was almost cleanly swept by energy drink manufacturer in comparison to giants like Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren. While Max Verstappen dominated the season, whole new pages were written in F1 history with dozens of records broken this season. With 10 wins in a row by Max to 19 total wins in a season, Verstappen has been unstoppable after the Abu Dhabi 2021 last race. Since then he has already won 34 races. Keep in mind that Alonso has 32 race wins in his whole career. This is total dominance whatever other says. Since Bahrain, Aston Martin was a heck of a surprise. The team that finished P7 last year, fighting straight for podiums and matching Red Bull on long-run pace, was a feat no one had expected. Alonso was back on the podium 8 times this year, and finishing high on P4 at WDC was the highlight of a season for Alonso. Accept it or not, everyone is an Alonso fan. But after the summer break, Aston Martin downgraded pretty badly in comparison to R&D with other teams, which brought them to fight at the back of the grid until Alonso's rain masterclass in Zandvoort. Only if Lance had performed decently, McLaren could have run for their money at the closing stages of the season. However, in a kind of boring season, Daniel Ricciardo's comeback has been a highlight for many F1 fans as he has a huge fanbase of his own, and on a high note, he qualified on P4 at Mexico above Red Bull driver Sergio Perez himself. Late break Maestro looks pretty confident in AlphaTauri as this car suits his driving style rather than McLaren. While Red Bull almost cleanly swept the perfect season with 21 victories, the streets of Singapore were harsh on RB19. Starting from the pole, Sainz drove pretty cool-headed rather than fast. Dictating a slow pace from the lead and controlled race, the safety car didn't play in Red Bull's favor. Giving DRS to Lando and a composed race strategy saw Chile win on Marina Bay for his second career win. F1 2023 welcomed 2 rookies this season. Fans were surprised by total opposite performances from both. While Oscar got his podiums and first sprint win in Qatar, it was not so glittery beginning for the Australian driver. Piastri, in all his fairness, got a race win before his experienced teammate Lando Norris, not exactly Grand Prix but still sprint counts. Logan struggled in the span of the whole season, mostly with track limits on qualifying along with inconsistency and mechanical failures here and there. Whereas in Williams, Alex Albon has been a whole package for the team. Scoring 27 out of 28 points solely, Albon has been one to watch for after his exceptional comeback to the grid after almost 2 years. With the field getting competitive every year, Williams opted to go with Logan for 24 despite all those dilemmas. Will American be fighting for his seat in 24? Comment down your thoughts below. McLaren started this season along with P17 and P20 finish, and until the upgrade package in Silverstone, this team was already underestimated. Hats off to Zak Brown. Since Lando podium in Silverstone, they never looked back, along with the double podium in Suzuka along with rookie Oscar. If Oscar gets his race pace settled, it's game over for Lando. Mark my words, Piastri is the next greatest in making. Lando has been barely challenged by his teammates in recent years, so we are still to see how he acts under pressure. I am looking forward to this moment in the 2024 F1 season. While doing so, Piastri managed to grab Rookie of the Year second time in his career. This feat has only been achieved twice. He and Charles Leclerc. Grabbing P3 in the Driver Championship was a heck of a job for Lewis Hamilton, but at the end of the day, Lewis managed that with his sheer consistency of finishes even if there were ample podiums and no race wins in the last 2 years. Will Hamilton ever win race again? Comment down below. At the start of the season, Lewis departed with his longtime physiotherapist Angela Cullen, who looked after most of the daily tasks for Lewis. This may have made somewhat of an impact too for Lewis. One of the most successful drivers in history, Lewis made a few mistakes in the course of the whole season which cost him a bit. From taking experimental setups to crashing on his teammate at Qatar, Hamilton has to make an exceptional comeback in 24 not only for himself but for his fans and everyone at Mercedes. Here at F1, Gazem Yuki is considered underrated throughout the whole season. Fighting against 3 teammates in the course of 22 races, Yuki gave a decent performance during the season. Not only that, with a late pit stop in Yas Marina circuit, Yuki led a race for a few laps, well more than Alonso in 23. With Ricciardo's injury in Zandvoort, Liam Lawson got his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in that AlphaTauri, and he didn't disappoint either. He outqualified Max in Q2 at Singapore, who knows if not for that Ferrari would never have won on those streets. During the race, he even scored his first F1 point for a team. Not so bad for a substitute while full-time drivers are struggling to get a single. Whereas at Alpine there have been pretty big movements in management, firing team principal Otmar mid-season at Spa was a surprise for everyone. To his disappointment, Otmar said, "You can't get 9 women pregnant and hope you have a baby in a month." Both drivers collected a podium, however, in Monaco for Ocon and Gasly in Zandvoort. While Gasly came out on top at the end, in all his fairness Ocon has 7 DNF. Collecting FIA Action of the Year is not everyone's cup of tea unless you are Fernando Alonso. Finishing off a few thousand before your opponent after racing for almost 300 kilometers is pretty badass. Alonso prepared and planned for this overtake during the last moments of his race. While he had a slower car, all his experience came to play at Interlagos. Parking the car at the apex to deploy energy efficiently, these small things yielded a podium for Alonso against Sergio Perez. RB19 goes up in history books as the dominant car ever, but in the hands of Sergio Perez, it was a whole lot of different story. If it was not for the faster car, Sergio could have had a horrible season. Thanks to rocket ship RB19, Mexican driver had the opportunity in every race to fight back for positions. Sergio had bad qualifying in almost every race of the season, even if he climbed up positions in races. On a side note, Max scored double points as Sergio's, so stats speak for itself. Being Max's teammate in Red Bull has always been a pain for everyone in those last years. Thus, Sergio has to step up his game in 2024 as Ricciardo is aiming for that 2025 Red Bull seat. With all those dramas and gossip all around, we had a brand new race this year at Strips of Las Vegas. Despite all those backlogs and possible disappointment, the race was pretty good in a long time. Verstappen was passed by Leclerc in the race itself. This barely happened this season. For another Ferrari, it was a disaster and one to forget. Getting a car wrecked by a pothole and taking a penalty for no fault of their own. Carlos Sainz had bad memories in Vegas. So for him, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Qatar has been the worst race of the season according to drivers' perspective. Scorching heat and all those bumps and turns at Qatar took drivers above their limit. Australia was one to remember as we had safety car a few times and red flag itself with race getting reinstated and all those dramas. Sprint at Interlagos was one of the best moments as drivers made technical moves on those curves. Thank you for watching till the end. Comment down your thoughts on this video and don't forget to watch our recent videos. Until next time, and enjoy your Christmas holidays.